G'day, welcome back. I'd especially like to welcome my new subscribers, and I hope you enjoy the content on my channel. If you missed my last video, the Morse Taper 2 adapter for the U-drill, link up there now. You can go watch that first, then come back and watch this one. Now this week, as I promised in that last video, I'm going to make a gauge, for want of a better word, a DRO if you like, for my tailstock, but I'm not going to head over to the bench over there and get started. I'm going to head into my desk and onto my computer inside. So let's head in there and I want to show you something. Alrighty, so I mentioned in that last video that I had received an offer for sponsorship for the channel, but in order to take advantage of that, I really needed to learn how to use CAD, which I've never bothered to do. So I started on a crash course after downloading FreeCAD 1.0, and it's quite a powerful little piece of gear for something that's free, and from all reports it's damn near as good as just about as good as all the commercially available ones that you got to pay for. Anyway, so I sat down and I have to admit I struggled a bit, and I've drawn this piece that I want to machine up. It's pretty much what I'm after. There's a couple of things that are not there, like this part here, there's no thread in there. I've just shown it as a hole drill all the way through, and also I haven't quite mastered this moving everything around with the mouse yet either. There should be some holes marked on here to drill and tap, or at least one I think in the centre to drill and tap to mount the scale for the DRO one. But anyway, so if you're like me and you've gone, I'm too old, I can't learn anything new, it's all too bloody hard, consider downloading this stuff, FreeCAD. There's plenty of tuition on YouTube that you can learn how to do this. So, you know, download it, have a look, see how you go, because you know, I'm struggling a little bit with this, and considering I learned how to program CNCs, and I was building websites for years, so I know how to code all that sort of stuff. I thought this would be a tad easier than it has been, but anyway, that's it there. That's the part I'm going to make. I haven't figured out yet how to print out a drawing for that, but I will, and we'll get on with it. Alrighty, so my first attempt to print out some plans only resulted in that, which is not a lot of use to anybody, is it? But after a lot of digging and watching another video tutorial on it, I eventually came up with this plan with some dimensions on it. And the only dimension, as try as hard as I did, I couldn't get, was the depth of this pocket here, which is 5mm. Because that's 10mm thick, so it's just half of it. But anyway, so that's what I've got. So let's head on over to the lathe, and I'll show you why that pocket's there. Righty, so that pocket's in there because this won't fully retract, and it ends up sticking out 5mm. So the two diameters there are this to clamp onto that, and then a bit to sit over the top of there, so I can retain my full 10mm width. I've got this bit of plate left over from making the Webster engine, so I'm going to use that to make it out of. I do have a length on the drawing this way for that, but I think I'm going to leave it initially because, let me move this camera again. God, there's some noise going on here this morning. So the plan is to mount this across here, and then bolt the scale down the side here, and then make a bracket up. I've still got a sheet of, I think it's 1.5 or 2mm aluminium sheet, and I'll cut a strip off that, fix it to here so it comes up and then sort of squares up, because that slopes, comes up and squares up to attach the reader to. So that's what we're going to do. Alrighty, so let's get into this. This is not actually 10mm, even though I've got 10mm on the drawing, it's only 9.5. So I'm not going to fly cut both sides because I want to maintain as much thickness as I can. I'm going to take just a light cut off one side only, the forward facing side you can easily see. So let's do this. I must have a bit of a bow in it. That's not a very nice finish that's leaving on there. I need to trim this down to 50mm. I probably should have done that before I did this, but anyway, let's go again, see what it looks like. I've turned the tip around. Alrighty, so that was a bit of an improvement on the last finish I was getting. Rightio, so next up I'll get a mill out and I'll just square this up. Alright, let's do this. Right, so I'll get that out of there and I'll do what I probably should have done first and cut this down to 50mm. Then I'll come back and clean the edges up. I want to put a hole saw through it, save me a bit of drilling. I do have a 28mm hole saw, which is the right size, but I'm worried it will cut too oversized. I think I'll just put a 25mm hole saw through it first, and then we'll finish it off with the boring head. Well, it didn't really need to take all that much off it, but you know, I'd rather not turn that into swarf, because you know, it might be useful for something later, or push come to shove I can melt it down when I'm casting things, even though it's not really a casting alloy. Alright, let's do this. I don't normally like the finishes I get from end mills, but I'm liking the one I'm getting from this last 12mm one I bought. Bloody lovely. Big difference between that and that, but like, most of this will disappear, so you won't see much of it. Could take a lot more off that other side. Still got a millimetre to come off it. Righty, so I'll get that out of there and deburr it and get it set up, put that hole in it. Yeah. Bang on! So I'll get this back in there, send it up, and we'll get some holes drilled and bored in it. Alrighty, so I've got that all centered up where I need it to be, so let's do this. Well, that's not working out so well. I think I'll stick a drill through it. Alrighty, so that wouldn't drill through steel the other day, but I got through that alright. So it's one thing, I suppose. Rightio, I'm going to turn this camera off, save my battery a bit, and I'll fit up the boring head and I'll come back to you. Alrighty, so a little test cut there to make sure I wasn't trying to cut too much at once. So let's do this. Alright, you should be at around that 25mm mark somewhere. .4. They've the 1mm cuts I've been taking. So 20, what did I just say? 25.4, not until we get 27.4. Time to get a bore gauge out, I think. Actually, what am I doing? I've got an inside mic. I'll just measure for that. I know why, because I can't get out 28mm. Yeah, alright, so it goes up to 30. Woohoo! So that's 28. Let's see, 27.72. So what's that? That's another 0.15, 0.12, something like that. Not much. So let's get out the dial gauge. Alright, that's about 0.115, something like that. We'll have a crack at that, see how it goes. These verniers measure exactly what that did. What? 27.8. Not big enough.
This vernier is saying 27.96, so I don't really want to go much bigger than that, I don't think. I might just tweak it just a tiny little bit. Take another really fine pass out of it. Better be just a little bit too big and too small, I suppose. Just about 0.05 over 28 now, so that'll be good, I think. So now I've got to go out to, what was the bigger diameter? 41. So I'm going to assume that's, we'll call that 28, 12, 13, so another 6.5. Anyway, I'll go down in 1 mil increments. What will this end up? 9.3. So I want a 5 mil hole at the bottom, so it's at 4.3. As a 6x1 lead screw, so one full turn is a millimetre, so I'm cutting 2 millimetres at a time. This doesn't matter, this only clearance this hole. $41.8 out of them. It doesn't matter, like I said, it's only clearance. Righto, so that's all that boring work done. I need to go and change this battery before it turns itself off. Call it quits at that. Alrighty, so this fits on there perfectly. It's a great fit. So next thing is to mill this corner out here, mill this corner out of it, drill it, tap it, and then slot it. Alrighty, so while you guys were looking, I cut a piece out of there with a saw, sanded it, sander drilled it. I'm going to put a 4.3mm hole down in there and tap it M5. So let's do this. Alrighty, I reckon that's far enough. I'm going to mill the corner off there and off here anyway, so it doesn't really need to go in all the way through. Alright, so now I'll drill it 5mm down to here. Tap it to M5. Alrighty, now we're going to slit it to up to the hole. I really do need to get myself a bigger slitting saw. Alrighty now, providing that's all the way through, and if it's not, I'll just finish it with a hacksaw. That's that done. So what I want to do now, but I'm not going to do it this afternoon, it's nearly beer o'clock. I'm going to set this up and mill the corners off here and down the bottom, just to, you know, tidy things up a bit. We'll do that first thing tomorrow. Alrighty, so that's all that done. That slitting saw went nearly all the way through. There was just a tiny little bit in this corner here that that didn't cut. Like it's probably half a millimetre or something, hardly anything. Touched it with the saw and it went straight through it. So now we'll get that, get a bolt in it, get it mounted up on the tailstock, and figure out how long this thing needs to be. Alrighty, so this one's still got a bracket on the back here. I might not need to make up something. I might better just take that one off and just bend it to whatever angle this is to get it to sit out like that. Although, you know, having it sitting out there like that leaves all this open to filling up full of crap. Might be better off laying it over. I'm going to have to cut this down. It only has, this only has 70 millimeters of travel, so I cut this off way back down here somewhere. I think, no, I'll have to mount this way up there somewhere, way up close to it, I think, so I can get the full 70 millimeters of travel out of it. Anyway, I'll investigate that. Shopping day today, so I've got to take She Who Must Be Obeyed shopping shortly, so when I get back I'll work on all of that. Alrighty, so while I was standing around waiting for the cheese and kisses, gave me an opportunity to have a bit of a think about this, and I decided I would bend this up to put in here, like that, to try and make my life a bit easier. That way I could hold it against it and mark this. So I fitted that fitting on there, and so I could mark where it had to be machined off, cut it off, machine it off, drill and tap the hole, bent this up. So now all I need to do is mark some holes in this and bolt that to it. Now I've been looking at where I have to cut it off, and that's actually 80 millimeters back there, which should hopefully just clear the hand wheel, because not all of my tools, when I fit them up in there, allow this to come all the way back in like that. Some they shit out a bit, so if I don't cut it a bit long, it may well run out of travel. Anyway, so I'll work out where I've got to drill and tap these holes in here and get some drill and tapped, cut that off and see how it works. Alrighty, quick update. Decided I'd slot this hole here because that's sort of all the way back there now. I'm a little worried about this extra 10 mil on here. So if I go, well, if I come out, say that sits about there normally, I can see a mark on it. So I can undo this and just slide that forward up to there and lock it back up. And then I can get my full 70 mil of travel without having 80 mil of this. So I can cut another 10 mil off that. So that's just run out of travel there. So I've got all of that there that I can cut off. And I think I will, because I'm just bugs me having all that hanging out there for some reason. Anyway, that's where I'm at. I need to cut this edge off here, I think, too, so it's not hanging out. Need to round these corners off a bit so they're not sharp. A couple of bit of tidy up. Make a bracket up to mount the reader on, or the readout on. That's the reader, that's the readout. And I'm half toying with breaking into this thing and trying to cut these wires down so I haven't got all this bloody stuff hanging around. But I'll see how much interference I get, because I do get interference in the other ones, the X and the Z, and I had to wrap everything in foil to stop the interference. I might have to do the same with this. Anyway, I'll get on with all that. Alrighty, so there we have it. I haven't round these corners and things off yet, but I think you need to watch me do that. And I've mounted it up here. I haven't shielded the cable at all, so we'll see how that goes. If it needs shielding, I'll do it later. Anyway, so here it is. About time I did that. I probably should have done this before I started making that motor. Right, so that just ran out of travel, and this is only just at the back here, so all good. This bloody thing's got a right hand thread in it, which is a bit of a pain really compared to everything else. Well, everything else got right hand threads, but I've got gears to make up for that. So finally I can gauge the depth of holes. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me do that, and if you did, make sure you give it a great big thumbs up and smash that like button, because you know it kind of helps me out. Alrighty, so that's about it for this job. If you've got something in mind you'd like to see me do, because in all honesty I don't have much in my head at the moment to do, and I really could do with something else to do. I don't know if I want to make another engine, because the watch count on these videos has been horrible, to say the least. And maybe what the viewer said a while back about building engines is sort of true. Not killing my channel, but you know, it's obviously a very select few people want to watch you do it. Anyway, like I said, if you've got a suggestion, let me know down in the comments, and I'll have a think about making whatever it is you suggest. Alrighty, so that's it, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye bye.